Well, welcome back to Restaurant Review. I'm your host, Bob Bockelman. This is our live to tape broadcast. Hopefully you're seeing us during the week. And once again, we're going to feature a new restaurant. This restaurant's less than 3 months old. You know how we like to do that. We like to bring you new talent musically and also new talent from the food. As we said, New Orleans is basically the capital of food nowadays in the United States. We're constantly cranking out restaurants, any caliber of restaurants, and that's what we want to do. We tell you we don't just bring you the fine dining, we bring you the po' shops, we bring you everything, and we have something a little interesting for you today. But before we go into that, we do want to tell you, don't forget that we have a live show, and for those who didn't catch our live show, it is on Saturdays, the second and fourth Saturday of each month, at 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. We just did one. Hopefully, maybe you joined us and saw it. You'll see a repeat of that, and that was Zachary's. So the next one for Saturday at 3 o'clock will be January 26th. I think that's Super Bowl weekend. February 9th around Mardi Gras, and February 23rd. So remember those dates because we want you to see on Channel 77, Orleans Cable, see us live. You can call us in. You can call us. We'll give you the numbers too now, but a lot of you all haven't seen it, so you might not be able to reach us. We do have a live audience today, so that's great. We always encourage you. And before the end of the show, we'll give you instructions that if you'd like to be in the audience for any, whether it's the live or the tape show, we'll be glad to accommodate. We'd love to meet you and love you to meet our guest. But before we go any further with that, let's go ahead and talk about and meet our musical performer today. We have a young man who's been in our community for a long time, but he's not a native. Let's go see our musical guest, Jim BADURA. Jim, welcome to our city, of course.
Bob.
How you doing?
Good to see you.
Good. Jim is a native of Detroit, but he's been with us for over 20 years, right?
20 years.
So he thinks he's a native, but we have stricter requirements than that. But at the same time, we do welcome him in the community. He's been singing since, a teenager, huh?
Pretty much.
Pretty
15, 16 years old.
But doing it in front of people a little later than that, huh?
Yeah, a little later.
A little later than that. Well, great. Now, Jim is appearing. We get a lot of our talent from the neutral ground. In fact, if you have anyone I meant to tell it on the live show, if you have anyone who's musically inclined and would like to appear on our show, we're scheduling auditions now at the neutral ground, which is uptown. So look us up. Our first audition will be 5 to 7 on February the 17th. So give them a call if you have someone that's interested in participating, and hopefully we'll see if they can merit to come on our show. Jim is a regular there. In fact, when's your next appearance at the neutral ground?
I'll be there on the 26th of January.
Okay, all right, good. That's just one of our live show. We won't be there that afternoon probably. But anyway, we want to go ahead and start the show with an original composition. What's the name you're going to do?
It's called Gonna Take Some Comfort.
Take it away. Thanks.
Thank you. I did some walking, I done some talking to the wind at my heels. There's miles behind me, can't hope to find me. I'm running still to find what's real. By the grace of God, I swear, gonna find some comfort there, I know. Yes, I know. Feel the burning blacktop, but I know I can't stop moving on. Been gone too long. I've made my mind up. Right where I wind up's where I belong. For a final song. By the grace of God, I swear, gonna find some comfort there, I know. Yes, I know. I'm right down your street. I can feel your heartbeat next to mine. Sure feels fine. You can come on with me. Maybe then we'll both see what's in store. So much more. By the grace of God, I swear, gonna find some comfort there, I know. Yes, I know. By the grace of God, I swear, gonna find some comfort there, I know. Yes, I know. 'Cause I did some walking, I did some talking to the wind at my heel. There's miles behind me, can't hope to find me. I'm running still to find what's real. Gonna find the grave, I swear. Gonna find some comfort there, I know. Yes, I know. By the grace of God, I swear, gonna find some comfort there, I know. Yes, I know. Thank you.
Nice, very nice. Thanks. That was great, Jim. That was a real ditty that made your feet keep it stomping. And perfect. What a way to set up for this show. Today we have, as I mentioned, a great new restaurant here in the city. The name of it is Winnies Artsy Cafe. It's on Magazine in our Lower Garden District, and it's been open only around 3 months. It's open for breakfast and lunch. And I believe it's only dark on 1 or 2 days. We'll find out the details of that in a minute. But most importantly, we need to introduce our guest, who's the executive chef and owner, and that's Mr. Mike Wingerter. Excuse me, Mike. Welcome to the show.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here.
Great. Tell us again, I know I messed it up, you're dark on what days?
We're closed on Mondays.
Monday only. That's a typical restaurant, Monday closing. So, but the key about this, folks, is that this is a real, as you can see, behind us, the inside of the Winnies, it's very eclectic. It's really vivacious, a lot of color, a lot of sprite. It's an old home, but they've done a lot with it. And in fact, one of the things I like about it, there's porch seating. You can sit out on the porch and watch the traffic and the folk go by and still be served. So that's really nice, besides the inside dining room, which you're looking at. I tell you, think about the best description of it is a funky, eclectic deli. So we'll see if Mike doesn't take obsession to that. And let's talk, Mike, a little bit about your background so the folks will know that even though you're a new restaurant, you're not a newcomer. You've been in our city, and I know you trained under one of our favorite chefs, First Lady Susan Spicer. So talk about a little bit about that and some of the other places you've been with us.
Well, I guess Susan was the one that pretty much gave me my start in the business, and I was with her for 5 years, and she gave me, the knowledge and the stepping stones to go on with my career. And I was at Mike's on the Avenue,
okay,
brunch chef at the Columns Hotel, and executive chef for the Culinary Institute in New Orleans.
Great. Well, for those who are outside of our area and doesn't know the Columns Hotel, there's an old movie, in fact. If anybody remembers Brooke Shields, that has been. She actually debuted, I believe, in a movie called Pretty Baby that was filmed in that old hotel. It's a great hotel up on St. Charles, our historic district. It now serves food and beverage, and it's a nice little hot spot too. So that's a great place to work. Okay, Mike. Well, listen. Let's talk a little bit about the cafe. And we want to talk about, again, we're going to focus on lunch instead of the breakfast. We'll come back if we have time to talk about breakfast because I'd like to hit some of the lunch items. We went on and tried them on lunch and really enjoyed ourselves. In fact, before we go anywhere, we got to touch on something that I didn't see on the menu because if you don't pay attention as you're walking in, the outside there's a great blackboard that details out the daily specials. And on that are the soups du jour. He only has one, he has 2 soups every day. So this is, as people who've been following my career know, that's one of my specialities. And the other day I couldn't resist myself. I tried 2 of them on the same day. Let's talk about a little bit about your soups because I really think there's great ingredients, a great flavor. The chicken tortilla, which is, I think, a really knockout. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, it's a pretty much standard soup. A lot of one does it. The intensity can be really off the wall if you want to get there, depending on the ingredients.
Right. And folks, if you look at our table here, if you're looking at our table, we're setting, I don't know if you can see, this is on coffee mugs. These are actually the mugs the soup is served in.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was is that a cup or is that considered a bowl?
That's a cup.
That's a cup. Well, I'm telling you, you can't eat more than one of these cups. I don't know how one eats a bowl unless it's their whole entree. But it was a delicious taste. The nice cubes of chicken, a nice clear broth, a little bit of cheese to give it a little bit of tang, and of course your crunchy Doritos. But I also had a great tasting soup, and this is something I'm sure you don't feature all year round, but it was called your Happy New Year soup.
Happy New Year.
I love this one. Let's talk about that.
Well, it's everyone for New Year's eats the black-eyed peas and cabbage separately, stuff like this. And just combining the two gives a lot of flavor. And it wholehearty, comfort-type food.
Definitely, folks. Definitely. We're talking about a soup that is creamy base because of the black-eyed peas in it, but still whole peas in there. Great seasoning. Really comfort. Nothing better than a cold day. New Orleans is going through a little change again of cool weather. We've been up and down, so today's a perfect day for it. But I also know I tried on another day tomato basil, and that was quite enjoyable.
That's all. Well, tomato soup's always a favorite with a lot of people. It's
kind of a yes and no, black and white issue. Some people hate tomato soups.
You either hate it or you love it.
Right.
And then it's always perfect with a good grilled cheese sandwich.
Right. But that fresh basil in it is great. Any other ones that you want to talk about? Because again, even though I know you've only been in business 3 months, I know you're cranking those things out all the time to give a lot of variety for your clientele.
I have a wealth of soups that I can do. Today we did spinach Florentine with tortelloni. And I do a lot of gumbos and different variations on that. Okay. From the seafood to the sausage, the chicken, or you can do wild game or the vegetarian, gumbos of herbs.
Right.
Which usually comes out around Mardi Gras time.
Sure. Well, great. Well, folks, this is a perfect place to go. If you're a soup lover like me, don't hesitate. And in fact, as I mentioned, you might want to be cautious. I don't know what the bowl's like, but if the cup is this big here, as it's shown here, which it is, it's usually more than enough. So we want to move on, even though soups, I hate to move on beyond it because you do have a lot of things on this small place. It's a small place, but a lot of stuff on the menu. So let's go over some of the sandwiches, of course. And I'm just going to touch on this because I really want to go into your signature sandwiches. They'll do po' boys and they'll do whole wheat sandwich, all the traditional sandwiches everyone else does. And he's got a beautiful selection of meat and other ingredients. But I want to focus on his grilled sandwiches. And let's talk about that because your grilled sandwich is, I know you put most of them, I don't know if you put on other, but I know they standardly come on your focaccia bread, which you
that's
do.
Correct.
Let's talk about your focaccia bread because I really enjoyed the taste of that.
It's very good bread that we get delivered to us fresh every day. It's baked every night for us. It's a thyme-infused Italian flatbread.
Right, I knew it had the herbs in it, so it was really great.
It's not the overly puffy type of focaccia bread, which kind of gets lost.
Right.
You know what you're doing. It's nice and thin. It gets crispy, and it holds up very well with the sandwiches.
Excellent. Well, and folks, another one of our signatures, besides the po' boy, which is so unique to New Orleans, whatever they call them, submarines, hobo, all those other names, po' boys are what we know about it. But besides that, one of our trade sandwiches is an Italian sandwich, born in the certain wards of our community. called the muffaletta. And a lot of people can't pronounce it, and it's just a lot of letters, a lot of F's, a lot of T's, a lot of vowels and consonants. But the important thing is that this is a great, great sandwich, and it's usually on a big, heavy Italian bread. I mean, Italian, very, very thick, knotted, their own homemade bread. And we're gonna, for those who don't know about it, we're going to talk about it in detail. But let's first of all, here they do it on the focaccia bread, and they grill it so it's heated and it's warm. Excellent taste. But let's talk about what goes in a muffaletta.
Well, there's a whole variety of ingredients in it. Basically, it has ham, mortadella, which is an Italian cold cut.
Right.
Genoa salami, a very good olive salad, lots of provolone cheese and mozzarella cheese.
Olive salad, that is the key, folks. I mean, obviously the good other ingredients are tremendous, but that is what leaves the most lasting impression, because that olive salad soaks into that bread.
Soaks into the bread.
That's right, and just gives it a tremendous flavor. And again, the original muffalettas weren't heated, and even though a lot of people are getting into heating them because of the thickness of the bread, and maybe that's why it takes so long. But heating really makes a tradition, especially when you change the bread and serve it on the focaccia. I thought it was just a really great variation.
You get the feeling of the sandwich
Right.
instead of the feeling of the bread.
Of the bread, that's right. It's not overpowered by the Italian bread. So we really made a nice change with it, and I think it's something we all should try. But I know I also sampled another one of your sandwiches, which I thought was a real delight. And I'm a big turkey fanatic, so really enjoyed it. And I know you put an unusual combination of a glaze on you. It was a smoked turkey, wasn't it?
Yes, it's smoked
turkey, and you had a sweetened glaze. Let's talk. I forgot your honey.
It's an orange cranberry jalapeno glaze.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, if you like smoked turkey, and everyone loves cranberry sauce to go with it, just a combination of the orange flavor and the jalapenos in it just melds right in with the portobello mushrooms, Havarti cheese, and nice crunchy hot focaccia bread.
Right. But I'm not a big spice when it gets to the hot stuff, and I'm still not been used to that, even though I'm a native. And I didn't notice. I have to say, I did not notice.
It's not spicy.
I did not notice the spice in this sense. So I was surprised to hear when you said that you had jalapenos in it. Not just now, when I saw it in the menu, because the sweetness comes out more than any of the hot.
Your sweetness kind of balances your heat, and you don't want as much jalapeno in it.
Right.
You don't want the heat. You want the sweetness and the flavor of it.
And it's not overly sweet, folks. That's the key there. It's just a nice fruit flavor, putting the cranberries and stuff like that in it, so it gives it a really nice blend. So it's a sweet. I highly recommend. If you like a turkey sandwich, this is one that is excellent. Now, there was another one that I didn't try, but I know we talked about it when I was there, and I think that was your grilled chicken pesto. I think it's supposed to be very popular. Let's talk about that one.
Well, it's a fresh marinated chicken breast that I marinated in an assortment of herbs and spices, lots of tarragon, and it's grilled, sliced very thin, and layered with upon layer of nice fresh pesto, sun-dried tomatoes, Roma tomatoes, and mozzarella.
Great. And I know there's a few more. I mean, I know, like I said, there's about 5 or 6.
Well, another really good special one is the vegetarian happiness.
Oh, vegetarian happiness. Oh, okay, I see it. Yeah, let's talk about that. Because, again, we do have a faithful caller, and I know she'll call a little later, who is a vegetarian. And she always is interested in what kind of vegetarian dishes. And I'm telling you, in addition to the soups, which a lot of the vegetarian soups are great, this particular sandwich, which I haven't tried, is dedicated to vegetarian. Let's talk about what's in the vegetarian happiness.
Well, first off, it has a sun-dried tomato roasted garlic cream cheese spread. Then it's layered with spinach, roasted eggplant, portobello mushrooms, roasted red pepper, and mozzarella cheese. And then it's pressed between the focaccia bread.
Okay. Well, that sounds great. Well, we'll come back to that, because I'm sure we'll get some questions on it. Now, you do have one other before we move on, and that's a Winnies special. I guess that's going to be considered your signature sandwich, even though I really like some of the others. What is a Winnies special involved?
Well, basically, it's a ham and cheese sandwich with your choice of cheese. What makes it a special, I guess my dad used to do Creole mustard and butter as his bread for sandwiches. So this is my dedication, I guess, to my dad, which, sort of the name is after him also. And so this is how he ate his ham and cheese sandwiches.
I see. In addition to sandwiches, folks, they do wraps or burritos, and we want to talk a little bit about those. Those always have gained some attention a few years back, and it's still stalwart. There's always another way of eating a sandwich, a lighter version of it. So we'll go over a few of those, but then we want to hit on our salads and really take some time there because everyone's eating salads nowadays, and this is a place. There's soups and salads. Great combination at this place. I know I tried, because again, I wanted to try a little Mediterranean flavor, but you do a baba ganoush and also a hummus burrito. And I did like a little bit of each, so I could taste both. For people who don't know what baba ganoush is, it's hard enough to say. Hummus is made of chickpeas. It's the typical Mediterranean paste that is used with pita bread, and it's one of their daily consumptions. And a variation on that is baba ganoush, which uses eggplant, which gives it a subtle difference in flavor, which is my favorite. Let's talk a little bit about your burritos in general, and those two and any others we need to focus on before we go beyond.
Well, the good thing about most of the burritos on the menu, if you're trying to watch your weight or anything like that, they're pretty much all low-key, low-calorie, low in fat, for one thing, and a little bit will go a long way with them. They're quite filling, even though they're not overly large, but they're packed with lots of fresh vegetables and assortments of cheeses, and they're very good. A little different, toasted and grilled.
Okay, well, there's two more I want to talk about, even though I haven't tried them yet, and that is just the second one. The name intrigues me, but the tuna melt Dorito. That's we talked a little bit about a tuna melt. Let's talk about that specifically as a burrito.
Well, it's typically our take on a tuna melt. It's got the same thing that you would put on a tuna melt, except it's all wrapped up and grilled in a burrito.
Okay.
Tuna
but it's
fish.
your basic cheese. So those, some people don't know what tuna
Well,
melt
it's got
is.
cheddar cheese, shredded lettuce, tomatoes, great tuna fish, wrapped up and grilled.
Yeah, for us old seafood eaters on Fridays, you talk about a great dish, but it's good on any day. But now the one that really intrigues me, his name is the Elvisito burrito. That's a lot for us. Tell us what is how did you decide to dedicate it one to Elvis?
Well, it was just on a whim. Elvis loved his bananas and honey and peanut butter, and so we have our Elvisito burrito, which is actually quite good once it gets all nice and toasty and crunchy.
Great. Well, folks, we have a question. As I mentioned, we have a live audience today. You can call in, too. Let me give those numbers real quick before we go to the audience, in-stage audience. We have 483-3336, 483-3338. If anyone out there is calling and watched the previous show, know that we're taping this, give us a call and ask a question about the restaurant. But meanwhile, let's take a question from the audience. Yes, ma'am. What can we help you with?
So you've sort of answered my question already. I was wondering if you're going to do any new dishes with seafood.
We just missed our question.
I'm sorry? Okay.
Okay,
That
I
was
was
my
wondering
fault.
if you're going to do any new dishes with seafood.
New dishes with seafood. I thought I heard that. I heard seafood, but I didn't know new dishes, okay?
Probably. It just depends on the needs of the customers and what they ask for.
But I'm sure you have something planned in mind, don't you?
Crab meat salad is in the background. I have a shrimp remoulade salad in the background.
Okay.
I do a great crawfish potato salad.
Now that's unusual.
And it comes out very well. People enjoy it.
Well, crawfish, of course, is one of our products that we've exported to the Chinese and have done so well with growing them now. But at the same time, putting it together in a salad concept, that's very, very good.
It goes over really well during Jazz Fest. That's when I came out with it last year, and the customer response was really good.
Great. Well, good. And we didn't mention this earlier, but that is one of your mottos, is to keep this menu constantly rotating. So what's interesting this month is going to not necessarily be there next month. You'll keep some of the basics, obviously, the ones that really sell and real popular, but you're going to constantly be infusing it with new varieties. So that's what I like. So that when you go back, you don't have to have the same old thing. You can try something new. So the gutsiness of the menu, of course, it's a challenge to the chef, but the important thing is that he's willing to give it a go, Mike, and so that's what you need to taking up on it. Go back periodically and try and look and see how different the menu will look. Okay, now let's see. We have talked about the burritos. We said we have sandwiches, great grilled focaccia sandwiches. We also have standard. We really did a disservice by saying po' boys and wheat sandwiches real quick. Exactly what type of po' boys do you do?
Well, your basic generic po' boy that New Orleans is known for. Ham and cheese, roast beef and gravies, and things like that. Tuna fish po' boys.
Okay, but I saw one on it that I don't know if it's vegetarian, but about cheeses, certain kinds of cheeses. I forgot what it was called, but I know it was predominantly a cheese sandwich. But it wasn't a tuna melt like we talked about before.
We do a three cheese sandwich po' boy.
And how is that done? I mean, are the cheeses just layered on there? What type of cheeses do you use, and how do you prepare? Do you grill them, or do you just put it on there sliced?
No, we grill it. It has cheddar, provolone, Havarti, and they can get it on either their choice of whole wheat bread, French bread, or the focaccia bread. And it's definitely a grilled sandwich.
So it's a grilled cheese, but 3 different cheeses
Three different cheeses, yeah.
All right, excellent. That's a great, I mean, that's kind of like the infusion, if people know, like Monterey Jack, where they put 2 cheeses together. Same concept. Put 3 cheeses, though, together, folks. So that's a great filler, and also a good one for you vegetarians out there. So we can get po' boys. And dare I ask you, I doubt if you bake your own bread because of the size of your kitchen. But
oh, no.
You use one of our local retailers, I'm sure, vendors.
Yeah, I do. Yes,
great.
I do.
Because, that's the key to po' boys, having that excellent, fresh French bread.
Well, you definitely need local with po' boy.
Yeah. Well, great. Okay, now, folks, we tell you that one of the keys, besides the soup and the salads, one of the real staples of this restaurant and the sandwiches is the salads. And we want to really touch on that in depth because many people today are eating on the lighter side, and even though you're getting a very large portion, still you feel like you can eat it because of our health consciousness. So we want to take these and kind of do them justice. So we want to really go through, since we've gone through the sandwiches and gone through the soups. But I think we have another question from the audience member. Let's see. Is that right? Yes, sir.
Well, I'm wondering, first of all, how did you come up with the name Winnies?
Good question.
And why an artsy cafe, or how did you come up with the concept, Winnies Artsy Cafe?
All righty, very good.
The name Winnies comes from, basically it was my dad's nickname back in the days of the service, and it's basically short for Wingerter. So Winnies was his nickname, and I sort of picked that up during high school.
And then the idea of this eclectic artsy, because it really is a gallery as well, right?
We operated as an art gallery for 5 years, and it was just hard for my partner David and I to keep both things going at once. So we sort of just combined the both and have great food, great art in one building instead of both of us moving all around the city trying to do each other's jobs. We just combine the two and have a great place now.
Right. For those, again, people who don't know, locally here, we have a tremendous artist community. And our art community is displayed almost annually, really, September through May. On the first Saturday of every month in the evening, most of the galleries stay open so people can traipse through them and take a look and see, because usually those are only open during the daytime. So they stay open once a month and allow people to come in. They usually have some refreshments. The key there is to obviously get the artists exposed. So this you can do any time of the day because the artwork's there. All of it's for sale. Most of it's for sale, I'm sure. And at the same time, you can have a good food. So you're in a great eclectic ambiance, but at the same time with great, great food. Now let's go ahead back to the menu, and we want to touch on salads. And let's see, I didn't get a chance to try any of the salad. Well, I did and I cheated because a couple of his side dishes are extracts or derivatives from his salad. But let's touch on those two specifically. Let's start with your Cuban salad. Let's talk about that because that's a really good salad.
Well, it's a great salad with marinated black beans in a Cuban lime vinaigrette. It's also served on a bed of mixed greens with the house dressing, which is a tarragon Parmesan vinaigrette, which is a little sweet. It kind of balances with the acidity of the black beans and the spices.
But I love that kind of Caribbean flavor with regard to it.
However, on the larger salad, you do get a tasting of grilled marinated plantains with it also.
Oh, really? Not, does that say that on the menu? Man, it must be the fine print.
It says
huh?
on the big one, yes. Right there at the end, roasted
So everyone,
plantain.
all the salads come with fried plantain.
On the Cuban.
Oh, the Cuban. Oh,
Cuban
okay. I'm
black
sorry,
bean,
Cuban.
just the fried
Excellent.
plantain.
Well, that's great because that's again, folks, something you don't see everywhere. So, but again, the taste of I tasted the beans, and we'll talk about that in a little bit when we get to sides. But I tasted the black beans and that little citrus flavor, but that little sweet to balance. Wonderful, wonderful taste. So definitely, next time I go, I'm focusing on soup and sandwich. Soup and salad instead of soup and sandwich. All right, the other one I wanted to talk about was the Tuscan bean salad. Again, one of my favorite. I love all kind of beans and all, and whether it's in soup or salads. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, that salad itself came from my days when I was over with Susan at Bayona. It's one of her favorite things that she used to do for special events and stuff like that. It's a great white bean salad marinated with sun-dried tomatoes, lemon, fresh thyme, rosemary, and lots of Parmesan cheese. And then that's also set on a bed of the baby mixed greens with the tarragon dressing, with tomatoes, cucumbers, Kalamata olives, and Parmesan cheese. And we also serve toasted focaccia bread with the large entree salads.
Great. Oh, the focaccia. Oh, your signature bread. Great, great. That'll be great. Now, another one that sounds interesting is, again, moving to another continent, is a curried chicken salad. So we're mixing a little bit of the Thai or the Indian influence, and let's talk about the chicken salad with curry, or curried as you call it.
Well, the curry chicken salad is also, it's a lot of people have misconceptions about curry being too spicy or too hot, but there are also sweet curries that have subtle flavors, and we use grilled chicken breast in our salad with the sweet curry.
Is that the Mussaman? Is that it's called Mussaman curry?
Not the brand I have. It's a light yellow.
It's not a
one.
brand, and there's three. Right, as we talked about, there's the red, green, and the yellow.
Right.
And I believe the yellow is the Mussaman, is what Mussaman. It's not a brand; it's a type, but it's because it's served in a lot of the Thai restaurants with eggplant or with other sweet vegetables, so they kind of keep the sweetness. So it probably is that. But anyway, it is the sweet, not this really hot curry.
It's not a spicy curry, and I don't really use a lot of mayo in it.
Good.
Because it sort of just takes away from the flavor, and the addition of the red grapes brings out the sweetness. And when you chew the chicken and then take a bite of the grapes, it's a real nice experience to have.
Right.
And then that's also on the bed with the house dressing.
Right. I know I've tried. I kind of think Susan used to do something like that. Did she do something like that? With the grapes? Because I remember it. It stuck in my mind. I couldn't remember who it was.
Yeah, Susan did. There was a couple of fish dishes that we did with grapes.
Right. It was excellent. Well, that sounds great. Now, there's one, well, like I say, folks, he's got a lot more, but there was another intriguing one, and I get a chance to read it. It's called Magazine Orleans. The Magazine Orleans, of course, that's a combination of where he's located, specifically on Magazine Street and in Orleans Parish. So we got a double dose there in the name. But let's talk about what is a Magazine Orleans salad.
Well, this is a salad for people who really like potato salad. It's a nice helping of my Creole new potato salad, served on a bed of greens, and it has all the accompaniments that go with it.
But what is your new, you just said your new...
Well, new potatoes.
Potato
I use baby new potatoes instead of the normal reds.
Right.
It's a
the smaller potatoes?
Smaller potatoes,
Great,
which have a lot more creamier in texture, and they don't cook down in the water like a lot of.
And you use what type of honey mustard? No, honey.
I use Creole mustard and a light mayo base, not too much. But it has a little zip to it. It's really good.
We have a call. Okay, folks, we do have a caller right now, so let's go in and take the caller. Caller, welcome to Restaurant Review. You're speaking to Bob Bockelman and our executive chef, Mike Wingerter of Winnies Cafe.
Oh, hi. First I wanted to mention I'm a little late watching your show today, but I did try Zachary's sweet potato pie from last week, and it was absolutely delicious.
Right.
And I wanted to ask, Winnie, the gentleman there today.
Yeah, Mike Wingerter.
Mike Wingerter, Mr. Wingerter. Yeah. If they have any vegetarian dishes.
Yes.
And
well,
what types do they have?
Great. Okay. Well, we have hit on some of this stuff again.
Oh, yeah.
This is a deli that specializes in soups, salads, and sandwiches and burritos. And a lot of these salads and a lot of the soups or for the vegetarian. So we talked earlier on the show that we had a great tomato basil. He did a wonderful New Year's soup, which was your traditional New Year's dishes of black-eyed peas and cabbage, all put together in a great broth.
Oh.
And he does a lot, and he changes every day, and there's 2 soups per day. So you're bound to find a vegetarian soup there every day. At the same time, he has a couple of sandwiches. We just talked about besides a cheese sandwich, I believe it was a poor boy that has 3 different cheeses grilled.
Oh, that sounds great.
Right, and then anything.
The vegetarian happiness on
that's what it
focaccia
was.
bread.
The other salad, he makes his own. He uses great focaccia bread. Excuse me. And what did you put on the happiness one again? Veggie happiness.
It has a sun-dried tomato, roasted garlic, cream cheese with spinach, roasted eggplant, grilled portobello mushrooms, roasted red peppers, and lots of mozzarella cheese. And then it's grilled and pressed. It's real crispy and comes out really well.
That sounds yummy.
That's-
Now, you're on magazine, right?
Yes.
Right. And
Okay. And
yeah,
that's Winnie's Artsy Cafe,
Winnie's
right?
Winnie's Artsy Cafe.
That's
Okay,
correct.
I just want to double check and make sure. And, well, I sure appreciate it. I'm going to probably try to make a trip there this week.
That'd
Well,
be
great.
great.
When
We
you stop
appreciate your
in.
call.
All right,
Thanks
you.
again.
Bye-bye.
Okay, well, that was great. I knew that's our loyal caller about vegetarian. She checks most of our shows, and she does a great job with regard to keeping the audience out there informed about vegetable alternatives. At the same time, more and more of restaurants are acknowledging the importance of vegetables not only as a side dish but as a main dish, whether it's for a vegetarian or just because of the tremendous flavors that the vegetables offer and the different combinations you can do. Okay, let's see if there's anything else in the salads that really need to be touched on. I know we have hit a lot of them, but there's still a lot more. You have a Greek, you have a Caesar, those sound traditional. And I guess that's about it, huh? How about the tuna salad? Well, that's going to be similar to what we talked about before.
Yeah, basically it's the old world standard tuna salad plate with eggs, pickles, and toasted bread.
Great. Well, Mike, listen, we're really doing well, but at the same time, time is creeping up on us, and we need to go ahead and go to our musician. Again, we have our local musician, Jim Badura, is going to please our audience with another song. I'm sorry I didn't catch, I think it's Apple Scruffs or something. He's got another toe tapper, I guess. But Jim, why don't you take it away for us?
All right, thank you, Bob. Yes, it is apple scruffs.
Good.
Now I watched you sitting there, see the passers-by all stare, like you had no place to go. But there's so much they don't know about apple scruffs. You've been stood around for years, seen my smiles and touched my tears. Now it's been a long, long time, and you've been on my mind, my apple scruffs. Apple scruffs, apple scruffs, how I love you, how I love you. apple scrubs, apple scrubs. How I love you, how I love you. Thank you.
Nice. Very nice, Jim. Again, he keeps us tapping our toes in here in the studio, but it's a great compliment to the restaurant. It's that lively, upbeat kind of style. Now, we've been calling it a restaurant, and of course it is a restaurant, but at the same time, it really is a deli. And for the most part, you're going to be serving yourself. You're going to go up, you see your menu, and you're going to go up and order, and even your drinks. Listen, we're going to talk about beverages a little bit, but you really are self-serving some of this stuff. The food will be brought out to you, but again, it's not the complete sit-down restaurant service that you might expect in a restaurant. If they're slow, you're talking about the most accommodating people in the world, and they'll definitely do it just like a full-scale restaurant, but it's not geared to a waiter or waitress per table. And again, we're talking about a small, intimate place, so it's not something that, we have that many people waiting usually. So it's stretched out, especially having both breakfast and lunch hours. But let's talk about beverages. I know the important thing is that besides having hot teas, which is one of my favorite, you have some coolers in it. A lot of retro stuff, a lot of Coca-Cola retro is part of the gear. And the important thing, besides having Coca-Cola products, they do have some other unique. And my favorite is the black cherry. And they have broils, black cherry. So right away I went for that. It was great to see that. And I know you had a lot of other little distinctive brands of unique carbonated beverages, right? Let's talk a little bit about other beverages that you have in-house.
Well, we carry a brand of organic iced teas called Honest Teas. They're not too prevalent in the New Orleans area, but...
and do they come in different flavors? Or
there's about 5-6 different flavors. There's a Jakarta ginger, a cashmere cheese, great cinnamon flavored one. There's a decaf, Black Forest berry.
Gee, that's I'm
they're really, really healthy, low in sugar, and organic.
And these are all iced teas?
These are all iced teas, yes.
Okay. But how about hot teas? Do you have any similar combination of blends?
Yeah, we have a few hot teas also. We carry cinnamon apple, chamomile, a peppermint.
Right. Great.
Green tea.
And then you have coffees, right?
We have coffees.
Standard New Orleans coffee.
Coffee and chicory. We have decaf, and we do a few flavors.
Right. But we don't have alcohol, right?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay. That might be coming. I didn't know that might be coming.
That's in the works.
Oh, okay. Well, and are you planning to have wines, or what's your direction?
I think we basically want to go after a beer and wine type atmosphere. For art's sake, example, we have our own signature blend of sangria that we do.
Ah, your own sangria.
We do a sangria for art's sake, and a good percentage of the customers, look for that with us.
Can you tell us what makes yours a little different, if it's different than the others, other than being homemade, of course, which is a key?
Well, we do have a few secret ingredients that we definitely cannot give out. But we have lots of fruit in it. And
good, that's key.
A nice red wine. It goes well, balances with the fruit. And
have you thought about doing a virgin basis of that?
Probably, but we also have a plan to do 3 different flavors of sangria.
Oh, really?
We want to do a white sangria,
a white one,
a blush, and a red sangria.
Oh,
so that will give us a little bit more uniqueness to what we're trying to do here.
A nice focus. That's great. Okay, so and you think that's coming down the tubes fairly quickly? Again,
give or take a few months. We're still working out the kinks. We're just getting open, and
right. Okay.
The public response has been a little overwhelming. So it's taken us a little while to get things going, and we're constantly changing. That's all I can say.
All right. All right, now we're going to touch on one more part of the lunch menu. Then we really do need to do a little bit more justice to the breakfast, so you'll know. Because again, like myself, I'm always out there scouting out, especially on a Sunday morning, for a good breakfast place. But let's touch on, and the only reason is because your desserts, again, most of them are homemade, and that's key here, that they do a lot of their own stuff. I had a great coconut cashew pie the other day. It was really good. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, through the years, everyone, that you come in contact with, they all predominantly do pecan pies.
Right.
And there's a wealth of nuts out there that never seem to be made into a pie. It's always added to, or, something with it. But for Christmas and the holidays, I started doing different assorted nut pies instead of using just pecans. We did an almond lemon at Christmas, which went over really well. And then a cashew coconut for New Year's, which came out extremely well, and it basically tastes like a nice moist macaroon.
Macaroon. That's exactly what I thought of.
And it's good either warm or chilled.
Right. Yeah, I had it chilled the other day. But
especially great with vanilla ice cream on top.
There you go. I'm a chocolate ice cream, so that's the problem.
Well, it'll be good. It's good with chocolate. Cashews and chocolate go well together,
too. I think so, too. But I know I saw something else that looked tempting. I'm also a lemon fanatic, and you had looked like a lemon crunch cake, not cake, but squares or something. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It's just your old-time favorite basic lemon squares.
Okay.
However, we had tangerine squares, we had lime squares, and lemon. So we had 3 varieties.
Oh, okay. And you're using real fruit in that, or are you using stuff?
Real fruit, some from fruit flavors, concentrates.
Great. Now, what about? I heard your brownies are supposed to be dynamite.
Yeah,
but I didn't see any of those. They must
we do a triple chocolate brownie, which it's kind of hard to keep up with at this point, to say the least.
Any others that we should hear about?
Well, I also do a very good cranberry walnut pie.
Oh, okay.
That comes out during the holidays, and I'm going to be adding a little bit more pies and cakes to the scene.
Great. I think it's great because a lot of people will come in just looking for like a little tea, a cup of tea, a coffee, and then some dessert. Yeah. Especially in the artsy crowd, when they're looking for the galleries and stuff like that, they might not be. They don't have the time to sit down and do a whole lunch,
right.
et cetera, so they can.
And if you like caramel, we do the almond rokas, which is a shortbread cookie base with caramel and toffee crunch and on top, which is very good too. Great.
Okay, now like I said, we've rushed through the luncheon menu, but because they also do breakfast, so we want to touch a little bit on the breakfast before the end of the show, and maybe we can go through that. Let's see. We have a little Spanish influence. They have the burritos and the quesadillas. Let's talk a little bit about that before we talk about the other breakfast items.
Well, we wanted to do something a little bit different for breakfast. You can go anywhere in the city and go, get an egg plate, and things like this. So we've basically taken some of our sandwich ingredients that we do, and we combine them inside the burritos and the quesadillas with eggs, and it works really well. We have our own favorites that we design on the menu, or you can build your own from a whole plethora of ingredients from the menu. Combine up to 5 ingredients and build your own.
Now, your eggs, are they raw in there?
No, we scramble them.
Oh, okay.
That'll be kind of hard to grill.
I kept thinking of the loose raw egg. Not everyone's going to find that as advertising.
Well, the ancient Chinese did now.
I understand. Well, that's great. So you're doing well. Again, folks, we're talking about a neat variation instead of just having your eggs done sunny side up or scrambled. Here's a great way of putting it in one of these. But you also have breakfast sandwiches. That's getting a little bit more play nowadays, and let's talk about a few of those. And what do you mean by a breakfast sandwich? I mean, it's not a po' boy, right?
Well, a breakfast sandwich would be anything that would have egg on it. You could have it on toast, whole wheat toast, or we also do bagels, ham, egg, and cheese bagels, and sausage, bacon, whichever. You can build it with any way you can want to get. We also have the 3 cheese also for breakfast.
I just noticed that. The same thing you have on a sandwich, you have it in
and one thing we do different.
And do you put an egg in that too?
That's just a cheese. Now, if they want to do that, they can get that also for, of course, a little added price to it.
Right, but
we do one thing that's different. We do grill our bagels.
We grill them.
We put them on the press, and they grilled, and they come out really nice and crispy.
Oh,
and
yeah. Yeah, I mean, today people are so used to going to continental breakfasts where bagels are just,
Like
they've
rubber.
been refrigerated, and yeah, it's like dough on the inside. It's like it's not
Right.
been cooked. And I don't know, people are just so trained to fast food today that they'll eat anything. But there's nothing better than a bagel that's toasted or grilled.
Yeah,
So,
well, actually, we toast them first, and
Uh-huh.
then we make the sandwiches,
And then you
we
grill.
press them.
So there you go. That's a great deal.
So I
And
guess you can call them double
double
toasted
double
bagels.
toasted. There you go. Well, that's something you need to tell, because I wouldn't have thought you did that extreme into both those situations.
It keeps them crispy.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. Now, we also need to talk a little bit about some of the traditional sides, because even though we've got a little variety here, you do have some sides I see that we find locally in our restaurants, and namely that's our grits. We talked about grits. I love grits. And you do several varieties. You also do a cheddar grits, a cheese grits.
Cheese grits, yeah,
Okay.
that's very popular. But the one thing that I do a little bit different with my grits, and I'm sort of watching your weight, watching your calories, I put a little heavy cream in mine.
Okay.
And it sort of gives it the texture of nice Italian polenta.
Polenta. Oh, now you're talking. That's my favorite food. That's one of my favorites. So yeah,
Which is also comfort food. So
yeah, exactly. So you do. So we do the grits. You also have some bacon and ham sides and scrambled eggs as a side, hard-boiled eggs.
all
So
your basic side dishes for breakfast.
excellent. And again, you're open every day but Monday for breakfast
Every
as well.
day but Monday,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, and you shut down between breakfast and lunch, right?
Actually, no, we just move right on through.
That's the best.
We never close it until end
but
of the
someone
day.
in the late afternoon couldn't get a breakfast if they wanted.
Not the late afternoon.
Not
They
late.
can get during the week upwards to about 11, 11:30.
Yeah, so really late in the morning.
It depends on the crowd.
Right. If you're not that crowded, and you're still able to do
Right.
some of these things.
It's you just have to have a certain cutoff because the transition could be a little rough.
Right. But that's key, folks. Well, that sounds great, and it's some stuff we're really going to try, because those are some novel variations. So you don't have to go to the same place every week just for your eggs and your grits and your ham or something on the side. So here we've got a great new place that we really appreciate Chef Mike Wingerter coming in today, telling us about Winnie's Artsy Cafe. It's too many words. Winnie's Artsy Cafe on Magazine in the Lower Garden District. We want you folks out there to continue patronizing, if you can, these restaurants. Not only because our whole economy, not only locally here but nationally, is depending on us going back and getting out to eat. And that's why we're offering to you so many different styles of restaurants, so many different grades, so that whether you're talking about a fine dining for a special event or just an evening supper to an early morning breakfast, a quick sandwich place, we pride ourselves in this station and in the stuff, the work I do, in going to all the places, trying them all out, because every place that cooks usually has something that's good. It might not be totally great, but there's enough good entities to bring you back if you like a particular thing. And how else can you know about them, with New Orleans being, as I mentioned, almost the cuisine capital of the United States, opening so many different styles restaurants per week. We've got to be one of the largest cities per capita with regard to the number of restaurants per capita that comes out of this small town. Again, for those who have joined us, we appreciate you coming to see us here on Restaurant Review. For those who are not familiar with our show, we do two versions. We have a live version on the second and fourth Saturday of the month that runs between 3 and 4 o'clock. You can be here in the audience, call us on the phone. We'll give those numbers out, not today because it's too late. But we also do the tape version, the live to tape, where the audience can be here and the callers can come, are shown on Wednesdays and Fridays. Again, we're always on Channel 77 in Orleans Parish. That's on both sides of our lake. We're trying to expand and go beyond. We have so many New Orleans restaurants opening that we really haven't had a chance to go beyond the confines of New Orleans. But our goal is to start bringing you Louisiana restaurants as well, and moving on to some of our other neighboring towns if we can. Again, my name is Bob Bockelman. You can look for me in several of the rags. I do work for North Lake News. It's a newspaper on both sides. One that's great, and we're hoping that Winnies will be in, and it's called the Gulf Coast Arts Review.